Welcome to Nerd Chat with Corey and Christian, where we talk about whatever nerdy stuff we want because we're bored. I am Corey,
Non-Christian.
and let's start talking.
Okay. So, Assassin's Creed, what's it called? I don't even know.
Unity.
No. New Assassin's Creed. Assassin's Creed. What's it called?
Hold
Wait.
on. Why aren't you? Wait, it is not called. Wait, where is it? So far, so good, everybody. Don't worry. We're good.
New Assassin's Creed.
They even have a name?
Syndicate.
Oh, Rogue.
Syndicate. No, it's Syndicate. You're wrong again. Rogue came out a year ago. A little behind the times on New Assassin's Creed.
As you can tell, I'm a great Assassin's Creed fan, as everybody can tell.
Okay, so what'd you think of it?
I thought it was pretty unique. I like it a lot, actually. I'm a fan.
I don't know. I'm cautiously optimistic.
Why are you cautiously optimistic?
Well, a little more cautious, not just cautious in general.
Okay.
Because things I like so far is apparently he has a he could just put his hat in his jacket, no problem. Maybe it's a fold-up hat.
Mm-hmm.
He takes his hat off and says that's weird. I like it. But I love the fighting system because it seems like did you ever play the third one?
Yes, I have.
Revolutionary War that a lot of people didn't like.
Yes.
I love that one just for the combat because that one, I don't know if you remember, that one was brutal.
Oh, yes.
Like, he was quiet. A lot of people didn't like that, and he had like pent up aggression, which I thought was realistic from a human standpoint because he was brutal. Like he would like put his tomahawk in someone's head and then keep chopping.
Oh yeah.
And just his fights were really brutal. And then with the fourth one, which I think was Black Flag with the two swords, they took out it seemed like it was a quarter of the animations because it really was just the two swords and muskets, I think. So a lot of it was just the same two sword animation things. And they weren't brutal at all. They were just the usual. They were kind of like from Assassin's Creed 2, stylish. That was it. And then the most recent one, Unity, they were a little brutal and stuff. But in this one, when he's doing like the fist fights and everything, it's brutal. Like he's really in it. Like there were a couple animations where he'll punch someone until they're almost unconscious, and then pull out his revolver, point blank, and shoot him in the side of the head. Stuff like that.
So good.
Yeah. So I love that. And I don't know what to think about the huge roads to accommodate the carriages. I mean, and it looks like they toned down the population too, because there were some lag issues with Unity, large amounts of people. And the populations are looking kind of sparse almost. I don't know if they're still experimenting with that. And the roads are super huge. So the whole congested city feel is kind of gone now.
Well, when you're saying population, are you liking where it's set? Like, do you like the 19th century London? Are you a fan of that?
Yeah. I mean, I don't necessarily like it because I haven't played a lot of games or seen a lot of movies with that setting.
Okay.
I'm interested. Right. And that's really what you want in like an open world game. You want to be interested in the environment.
Yeah.
And two things I'm worried about, like the parkour, is that they have that like grappling hook now.
Yeah.
It removes a lot of the climbing. I feel like that was part of the fun. And what worried me is the one huge improvement or addition, I should say, to Unity was the descending parkour now. So you could do R2 on PlayStation plus I think X to do the whole climb up. And then if you do R2 plus circle, he would actually do real parkour moves based on the environment to get down. So either he would like drop automatically through the ledges, or he would like run down a beam or slide down something. It would all be super fluid and look great. And from what I can tell in the gameplay for Syndicate, is they were kind of doing the parkour from the previous games, where I noticed like when he was getting down off a roof, he would just like leap off it and land and then roll.
Right.
And I didn't see any downward parkour, and I thought that was more like realistic, I guess, as far as ninja assassins climbing buildings.
See, and that's the thing, like with Assassin's Creed, one of the main gameplays, like one of the fun things is parkouring. So when you put something like that in it where you kind of take that away, you're kind of taking the game at its core to what it is. Like obviously it's more, but I'm just saying little by little you're changing it to a completely different game, which is kind of scary in a sense. You know what I mean?
And I know that they develop them simultaneously, two different departments in the studio. So I'm afraid that maybe the downward parkour was developed by Unity's team, and since Syndicate was already being made, may not have made it into Syndicate. So, a bit worried about that. Hope
Yeah.
that gets in there because that was the one great addition. Because like everyone else, people complained about the populations, the lag, the bugs. Some
Hmm.
people didn't like the combat, some did, but pretty much everyone agreed the downward parkour was cool.
Yeah.
They added to it, so I hope that gets in there.
Hmm.
You know. Oh, and there's that whole because now it's more modern day. You can't have your sword on your back anymore, so he has a cane sword and brass knuckles instead.
There you go.
So that's more stealthy. That's pretty cool.
That is cool because the brass knuckles makes it like you can hand to hand combat, man. It would be pretty sweet to watch that, especially with an assassin. I don't know. I think that's cool.
Yeah, and the hand-to-hand combat kind of always suffered in most
Hmm.
Assassin's Creeds. It was just like punches and the knockouts because all the stylish, animating was spent on swords and axes, obviously, who's cooler. And now
Right.
it seems like fist fighting is getting its own because
Yeah, if they're putting
obviously,
brass knuckles in there, they're obviously doing something with it. They're not
yeah,
going to throw it in there, so
yeah. So I'm interested. I check out every Assassin's Creed. So,
there you go.
oh, Batman.
Oh, all right.
Thoughts
Yeah,
on
let's talk about
Batman?
Batman because it is coming out next flipping month. What do you think?
Uh, awesome.
Okay.
I mean, it's Batman. It looks like the best Batman game they made.
It does look very, very immersive. I love that. I really do. They really make you feel like even the gameplay trailers, it makes you feel like you're actually Batman. Like you get to do so many different things, and I like that they're actually bringing the idea of Robin along with it as well. I don't know. It's just cool. What are your thoughts?
I mean, at this point, I'll buy anything with the word Batman and made by Rocksteady in the
Yeah.
same sentence. And it's really interesting because I've never seen a studio like own something so
Mm.
well. Like at this point, Rocksteady's like synonymous with Batman in general.
Oh
They've
yeah.
they've made the Batman game. Because I
Hmm.
don't know if you played any of the pre Rocksteady Batman games, like whenever they made one for like I remember they made one for the tie into Batman Begins, and there were a couple
Yes.
other games by other studios, and they
Yes.
were always either like stealth games that were kind of weird or just like
Yeah.
beat 'em ups,
Yeah.
and they never really knew what they wanted to be.
Yeah.
And Rocksteady pretty much invented the Batman genre. They made the combat, they made the gadgets, and how they work. They
Rocksteady
found
made
Batman.
Rocksteady made Batman a detective again. It wasn't just a superhero. He gave everything that he was, a detective, a crime fighter, everything into one story, which was congratulations Rocksteady to making that perfect to me. So,
And I honestly, they've said before that this is their last Batman game because they want to move on to something new. But I feel like with those guys who work there, I mean, obviously the creators and probably a decently large majority of people at the studio want to move on because they're getting bored, which is probably why it's their last one. Um, but there has to be at least a small portion who love Batman and they love what they do with Batman and with the intimacy almost with that Batman system and how it works at that
right.
studio, Warner Brothers would be foolish not to tell Rocksteady like please just make an offshoot studio like Rocksteady US or something, and just hire all the people who want to keep making Batman from the original Rocksteady studio and just bring them over and make the next Batman. Because I believe, what was it? Batman Origins,
Yeah.
Arkham Origins.
Okay.
Was that the one previously? Probably
Yes,
not.
it was. No, it was. It was Origins, you're right?
Okay, it was Origins.
Yeah.
That was made by just a Warner Brothers side studio. It was solid, but everyone agrees it wasn't as good as a Rocksteady made Batman.
Mhm.
So I mean, it seems like a no-brainer. Just bring the Rocksteady guys.
See, I don't understand why they wouldn't just create it as like kind of I don't know, maybe this is too far, but like a Grand Theft Auto where they always have a game coming out every year. The reason that is being is Batman's one of those characters where you can create forever. Obviously, you do it through TV, you do it through anything else, and why can't you just make a game last forever? And if it's such a good game and it's such a good, ticket basically for that company, why would you not continue doing it? I understand the whole idea of boredom and stuff like that. But you're always going to have those Batman fans that will buy every single year,
Yeah.
just like everybody would buy Grand Theft Auto. And
And
I
if
don't
they
understand.
can if they can keep making Batman comics with new stories, it's not like they're running out of stories to adapt
Absolutely.
or anything. So, and you brought up like Grand Theft Auto. I would love for them to do so they don't get bored, to do the Rockstar method where they make a Grand Theft Auto and they'll do something different. Like I believe their last couple cycles was like Grand Theft Auto, then they helped work on LA Noir, and then it was Red Dead Redemption, and then another Grand Theft Auto.
Oh yeah, that
And
would
then
be fantastic.
yeah, and then probably next is, I mean, they've hinted at, and it's probably going to happen, is the next Red Dead Redemption 2 or whatever they're going to call it, Red Dead
Hmm.
Revenge or something. Um, and then that would come out, and then a year later something else, and then 3 years later after this GTA, it's already actually been 2 years since that's come out. I forgot because it just came out on PC. But and then a couple years later, then another Grand Theft Auto. So I mean, they don't get bored of it because they're working on other games, and yet Grand Theft Auto is them that defines their studio, and they're going to keep making Grand Theft Autos. So I mean, I would love for Rocksteady to make this Batman, maybe do a couple other games, and then but keep working on a Batman thing in the back concept type of thing, and then 5 6 years from now, Batman Arkham whatever, or just a new. I would love actually because they always say this is the last one in the trilogy.
Right,
I would love for them to just drop the Arkham moniker and
and just
just
go a completely different way.
yeah,
Right.
and
Yeah.
do like a play, kind of like a play on words thing. Yeah, it was the last Arkham game, but we're not done with Batman, and do like a Rocksteady's Batman something something.
Right. Well, like you said, they're doing comics all the time, so it would even just be cool to like check out the comics now and take enemies from there and just continue. I mean, it kind of seems like in the trailer, like all the enemies are coming together to destroy Batman. You know what I mean? Like that's what it is. But that doesn't mean you can
That
stop.
happens
Like you don't have
every
to stop.
issue.
Exactly. That's exactly right. I know. That's what I'm saying. So what's the difference? Why can't you just do it again and just actually bring the comics to life? Like what's going on in the comics now? Bring that into a video game. Like that would be fantastic. That would be brilliant. I would love to see that. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
and people love the Joker in that, and the
Mm-hmm.
Joker died, I believe, 2 games ago. They could easily, let's see, Joker was the main villain in the first 2 games. Now Scarecrow is.
They could
Um,
easily bring them back
they
though.
could easily make the next Batman where like Ra's al Ghul is
Oh
the
yeah.
villain, and then as like a side thing to distract Batman, he puts Joker in the Lazarus pit to bring him back, and then there you go, you have Joker back, stuff like that.
That would
So
be
there's a bunch of stuff
fantastic.
they can do.
Plus, with Batman, like we're comparing Batman to GTA 5, like GTA probably has a tougher time because they actually have to come with storylines. Now, Batman already has all the material and everything. Now, just work with it. You know what I mean? And that would be great. I don't understand why they wouldn't, but I guess that's what they want to do. I still don't think that it is. I think it's gonna come back again. It's gonna be another reboot of some other video game. Like it's gonna happen. I don't think they're just gonna get rid of it completely. But
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see what they do like with that because in the previous games it was like just Arkham, and it was just Arkham City, and it was just a small part of Gotham type thing. So they basically had to rebuild the city every time they made a new game because it would be a new map, new stuff. Um, and like GTA, for instance, it's a new city every time. So they make a new city for every game. But at this point, they've made all of Gotham City for the free roaming segment for this Batman,
mm-hmm.
and Batman never leaves Gotham City, so they basically already have the map that they could
Absolutely.
just add more detail as time goes on, technology gets better, whatever. Just add detail, do better texture packs, basically,
Oh
for all the
yeah.
environments, better weather effects. But the actual geometry of the city is there, and they can keep that
Oh yeah, for
for
sure.
multiple games. And I would even love for them to take the same map and then add people. Like
Oh
that's
yeah.
what I've wanted.
That'd be awesome.
Because for some reason in this Batman, the city is still evacuated. They're always evacuated.
That's true. That's very true. It would actually be kind of cool to add people. You just like you kind of have to. I don't know. I don't know how you would affect people in the story though. I don't really know how that would help the story move along. I
I
mean,
mean,
it's not like Batman's gonna go talk to the people. He's a Dark Knight. He's not gonna go talk to the people and find out. So I
but
don't know.
I feel like how the people react to Batman is almost like its own character. Because
Oh
I
okay.
could easily see, at the beginning of some Batman game or whatever, they're scared of him because at that point they still think he's like a legend.
Hmm.
The dark monster of the night who stops, people. And then by the end of the game, just like in the movies, they look at him as the hero. They're like, "Hey, it's Batman.
Yeah.
Save me, thanks, Batman," type of thing.
Could they
So
do it in such a way that maybe like one of those things where people spot him and certain things happen? Like, is that how you do it? Like, kind
I
of
don't
like
know.
I don't know. See what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Even if the people did spot him, it's not like oh, Joker's gonna come after you now because that would be lame and stupid. But I'm saying like I don't really know how you would. I don't know. I guess you'd have to figure out how to do that. I
And
don't know.
that's obvious. That's probably, I should say, one of the major reasons that they evacuate the city every time.
Probably.
Because when you're trying to make a Batman game, you need enemies, great fighting gadgets, Batman, stuff like that, and it's not worth it to have to deal with that question like how people react, blah blah blah.
Right. Well,
Probably.
especially now, if we're gonna put the Batmobile in there, him driving down the streets, he's gonna be hitting all the people and being like, "Well, we probably shouldn't have put people in there because now he's driving the Batmobile." So
Same reason it's an open world game, and yet it's the only open world game without a day night cycle.
true,
I feel
true.
like that would be kind of awkward. You're just, swinging along rooftops or whatever, and then like sunrise. It's kind of weird to be the dark night when the sun's
Yeah,
up,
yeah. Well,
no
exactly.
shadows.
Well, except like if it was that version, if it was like daytime, you just see him chilling with Alfred, like in his mansion. You have to find daily tasks to do until night comes.
Yeah,
That's that's what would happen too.
market. Go to a CEO meeting, brew some coffee.
Did they make it like one of those choice video games where you have to like decide everything and the fate of your choices? Start something like
Yeah.
huge. You just ruined the
Although,
company. You're no longer rich, Batman.
although I feel like if they did it right, because I mean, I loved one of my favorite parts of any game really was the intro to Arkham City when you are Bruce Wayne being carted into the city
Oh
and you're
yeah, I
being
love
tortured and you break out.
that.
I
Hmm.
mean, so depending on how they do it, I mean, they could do some good segments as Bruce Wayne type of thing.
Yeah,
So
I
I
just
don't
don't
know.
think it would be as immersive. Like it wouldn't be as immersive. I think it would be more of a people would be like, "That's stupid. Like why are we even having Bruce Wayne? I want more Batman." It'd probably
I
ruin the
don't
game
know.
more. I don't know though. You're
It,
right though. That was great, like the beginning of that, but I don't know.
I
What
just feel like it is a bit of like a problem or something and how Batman would deal with people, and it's a bit of like a cop out type of thing, like taking the easy way to just
Mhm.
not include people. I don't know. I feel like it's kind of something they should do because even
Yeah,
in the comics, there are people out at night in Gotham City getting preyed upon by bad people.
yeah.
So
He's
it's kind of
Batman.
weird. Yeah.
All right, so talking about Batman, that's a pretty good transition. Watch this. You're gonna love this transition. Ready? So, Joker, also known as Jared Leto as the new Joker, has recently, by recently, a couple months ago, released the picture of Jared Leto. What do you think about this whole concept of Jared Leto playing the Joker, his look, and all that good stuff?
I mean, he definitely looks insane, like the insane Joker that he should be. Tattoos are over the top, I think.
Oh yeah, absolutely not needed. I think it's stupid that he has a tattoo. I think it makes him seem more human. And I'm not saying Joker's not human. Don't get me wrong, but he's insane. Like I don't think you sit there in a tattoo shop and be like, "Well, I need damage like across my forehead, or I need this," and it's just it doesn't make sense. It's over the top. That's one part of it I really really hate. Um, I like his look. I really do. I think it's different. I think it's unique. And I think Jared Leto will kill it as a Joker. I think that the only reason people maybe are not a fan of it is because it's not the Joker they want. I don't know.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
See, and I'm a fan of some of the tattoos. If you look at them,
Okay.
I feel like the ha ha ha's on his arms
Hmm.
are actually kind of cool, and they
Okay.
kind of fit his character a little bit. But I feel like some of them, like the damage on his forehead, that's a little bit like what someone on Tumblr would do or something.
See, and I kind of feel like the damage on his forehead is what made people mad, if that makes sense. Like, because all the other tattoos are like it's forgivable, but you have one on your forehead, so you're always going to see that. It's not going to be covered up by your suit or whatever. It's going to actually be there, and I don't think Joker would ever do that. The ha ha ha, the jester, all that other kind of stuff. It's like okay, cool, whatever. It doesn't matter. But once you put it full front into your face, where you're going to walk around like that, it's just like I don't know if he would do that, but I don't know.
And
But
I do appreciate that all his teeth are fake
yeah,
in his
yeah,
front grill because I
yeah.
believe in now this is what I'm curious about, what I don't think I've ever clarified. Maybe it's out there, but I don't know how Suicide Squad and the Batman versus Superman movie relate.
Okay.
Like they're in the same universe. Are they taking place at the exact same time? I would probably assume so in the
I've heard
timeline.
I've heard hints of in Batman and Superman. I think Batman's gonna have a flashback of Robin dying, and Jared Leto's Joker is supposed to be in that flashback. That's what I heard. That's the latest I've heard about it. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if it's rumored, but that's the last thing I heard about Joker being in Batman vs Superman.
Actually, weren't there pictures of Ben Affleck's Batman on the Suicide Squad set? So I'm wondering,
Yes, yes, it was. Yes, they were.
yeah, wondering how that's gonna work out.
Hmm.
But so I would be interested in like the chronolog, like timeline, I should say,
Hmm.
of this
Right.
whole thing, because I know in Batman versus Superman, Batman's old. He's been at the game a decent amount of time already,
Right.
in his
Yep.
40s, and he's been doing it since his 30s probably, and he's established, which is not usually a popular take in the comics. Usually, like Batman and Superman come around around the same time.
Hmm.
In this movie universe, Superman pops up recently, and Batman's been a thing. And I
Yeah.
don't think he ever reaches the superhero status of like the Dark Knight movies, because
Right.
I believe he's still like the legend, and he's
Right.
been the legend for decades now,
Mhm.
who just prowls the night. And so, if Suicide Squad is around the same time, it's cool that by this point Joker's fought Batman multiple times, probably been punched and beaten up, you know, tens of times at least.
Hmm.
They're probably knocked out. So,
Right.
his teeth have seen better days. And he's the Joker, so he doesn't care about getting realistic looking teeth. He just needs something to eat. And he's good to go.
That's true.
So I
But
appreciate that.
that I agree. I agree 100%. And I don't think this is my true opinion. I don't think the Joker's going to be in the Suicide Squad as much as people think. I think he's just going to be one of those. I'm not saying that he's going to be like a side character where he shows up one time. I don't think that's going to happen. But I don't think he's going to be in the whole movie because I think the Suicide Squad, the basis of it is that they're basically supervillains, right? Who take over. But I don't remember Joker being part of the Suicide Squad, was he?
Suicide Squad was actually prisoners or supervillains who were caught and locked up, and
Mm-hmm.
then like a secret government organization, kind of like the CIA, but even more clandestine.
Hire
Um,
them.
yeah, and put like bombs in their heads or bomb collars or whatever, and have them do like missions for the U.S. government that are so
Okay.
dangerous they might die, and they
Hmm.
probably will die, and they don't care, stuff like
Interesting.
that. So, and I'm a bit interested in the Joker even being in that movie because I
Hmm.
don't believe he's traditionally in Suicide Squad in the comics.
That's what I'm saying. And so, is it more maybe Joker has become such a menace that Suicide Squad is going after him? Is that what they're doing? I wonder. I don't know. I
And
don't.
see, it intrigues me like on two fronts because unlike, the other characters, Harley Quinn is also kind of intriguing for this reason, but like anyone else who's in the Suicide Squad, they usually have skills or talents
Hmm.
that the US government wants. Joker
Yeah,
never really had skills or talents. He was just a psycho who
it
had
was just
evil
insane, right?
plans. So I'm wondering how they're going to pull that off necessarily.
Yeah,
And I he probably won't be in the majority of the movie because I feel like he would just become overpowering.
yeah,
Yeah, because he's
true.
easily the most well-known person in the team.
But
You know,
why hire such like? I mean, why hire such a actor for like 20 minutes in a film either though too? You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know.
because I feel like him being on that team is kind of like Iron Man on the Avengers, and then the rest of the team is Hawkeye. You know,
Mm, yeah,
not nearly as known, and everyone's gonna focus on Iron Man. I just don't see how they're gonna. That's not gonna be overbearing in the movie.
yeah.
What I'm hoping for is that because Batman versus Superman is gonna introduce the new Batman,
Hmm.
and the Joker will probably have a relatively compared to the whole movie, a small part in
Yeah.
Suicide Squad. And I'm hoping they just use that to introduce him and show off this Joker and get everyone interested to then eventually, have a Ben Affleck Batman, Jared Leto Joker movie
Yeah.
where they actually fight each other in a Batman movie. So that would be interesting
Hmm. Yeah, I didn't really think about that. That's a good point.
because they're copying Marvel at this point.
Well,
Introduce
because
them in their own little movie thing and then set them up for a bigger movie.
well, think about it. It might be also one of those things where, well, nobody really knows about the Suicide Squad, so let's just put Joker in there to bring people to this movie so we can do something with it. It might be one of those because we all we see on Suicide Squad, at least all I see on Suicide Squad, is a bunch of Joker stuff. You know what I
I
mean?
don't know.
So
I
I
feel
don't
like
know.
getting Jared Leto on as an actor to do this, that's a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I doubt they're just bringing him in to do this one movie. I mean, they have to bring him in to be the Joker for a couple movies at least, or at least one major movie
Yeah,
with
I
him
would
as the
think so.
villain. I mean,
Well,
because if he doesn't get his own movie, as in like his own Batman movie where he's the villain, that's just wasted potential.
I agree 100%. That's why I'm wondering because I really think this is my true opinion. I really think that Suicide Squad is coming after the Joker. The reason why I say that is because there's shots of like Harley Quinn coming up against the Joker, and there's other stuff like that. Because Joker actually smacks Harley Quinn and stuff like that. But it might also be just Joker being Joker too. I don't know. Who knows? I really don't really know what they're going to do with this movie. I've never really heard that much about
That
it.
never occurred to me. Like,
Yeah,
I always assumed Joker was going to be on Suicide Squad,
yeah,
but Suicide Squad is just people doing, super dangerous missions where they might die.
right,
And if there's a super dangerous mission, it's like capturing the Joker.
Right, but plus if you notice, like if you've seen in the Suicide Squad photos, Joker is not in there at all.
Yeah, and depending on the timeline, maybe Batman's too busy fighting Superman
Exactly.
to stop the
Which would be
Joker.
a fantastic way to bring the movies together. I
That would
don't
actually be brilliant if it turned out they were taking place simultaneously
know.
in the timeline.
Yeah.
Batman's busy fighting the Joker, someone has to, or busy fighting Superman, someone has to take out the Joker
Yeah.
and get him. So get a bunch of criminals.
And then they end up like trying the whole movie. They try to get him. They try to get him. They fail, and then the end is just a cut scene to like introducing Batman versus Superman or something into it, introducing the new movie. That would be brilliant. That would be awesome if they did that. I don't
Hmm.
know. That's the only reason I think that villain's actually the villain in Suicide Squad because in the Suicide Squad pictures there is no Joker included in those sets.
And
So.
I think what's really going to decide it for me, though, on Jared's Joker, is
Hmm.
his laugh,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
because
I
that
think
really defines it.
I think his laugh and the way he speaks and the way he just dialogues. If he dialogue, like everybody's complaining, I don't really like the look. I'm like, I don't care about the look. If he can pull off the true persona of the Joker, then you got me. You win. Like that's how I say about. That's what I think about that.
Yeah, I mean, because really, the Joker is just looks clownish necessarily, and he's evil, and he acts like the Joker. So if he can act like the Joker, his looks are almost like a side thing.
Exactly. Absolutely.
That reminds me of like in that scene in The Dark Knight where he was, undercover and he wasn't wearing his makeup.
Hmm.
Look human. He still acted like the Joker though. He was
Yeah.
still captivating to watch.
Yep.
So it's really, and it does come down to the laugh for me
Yeah.
because you have the animated series laugh with
Hmm.
Mark Hamill,
Classic.
Joker laugh,
Yep.
and then you had like Heath Ledger doing his,
Hmm.
which I love because it's so unlike the comic book Joker laugh type of thing.
Yeah.
That it's just its own thing. So I'm interested to see how they do this laugh.
I think what captured me with the Heath Ledger Joker though is obviously he was brilliant, but the scene where he's like getting punched by Batman, he's just laughing. It's just like, oh my gosh, that is the persona of the Joker. He just is insane and he knows what he's doing and he's doing what he loves, which is irritating Batman and doing what he's supposed to do with Batman. That to me captured Heath Ledger for me. So it's kind of actually going to be interesting what Jared Leto's going to do without Batman. You know what I mean? Like, what's Joker going to do without him
And
in
did
the
you
movie?
ever play Arkham Origins?
Hmm?
Did you ever play Arkham
Yes.
Origins?
Yes, I beat the whole game and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, what I loved about that one, and what I hope they explore more with, Ben Affleck's Batman and this new Joker,
Hmm.
because they never really explored it. They only hinted on it in The Dark Knight, and I'm sure they wanted to have Heath Ledger back for the
Oh,
third
I'm
one
sure they would have.
in some aspect, and they were probably going to touch on it more. Um, what you could say what you want about the combat and the fighting mechanics or how it was unoriginal. They didn't really
Hmm.
add anything to it,
Hmm.
but I love the story
Oh yeah.
because side note, they had the guy I forgot Troy Baker, voice
Okay.
actor, who did Joel from The Last of Us,
Hmm.
and he was Booker from BioShock. He's
Okay.
been in a lot of games recently, and he did the Joker in that one. Great voice actor.
Yeah.
Sounds good as the Joker.
Yeah.
Um, was the when I believe when you first capture him, the
Hmm.
Joker lets himself get captured in that game, and
Yeah.
he's talking to Harley Quinn about
Oh, such a good
how he
scene.
feels about Batman, and it almost does. It's like a romance thing. I
Yeah.
believe it's like a montage of him like falling down a pit, or it
Hmm.
was him falling off the building.
Yeah.
Like he caught me, and it's like he's falling in love,
Yep.
and
That's
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 touched
what's
upon a
really
lot in the comics, but never in the movies.
absolutely. And that's what I'm saying. If they make that, I think Heath Ledger would have done it more than this guy because I really don't. I see this Joker as Jared Leto Joker as more of a business guy, like more of a mobster slash. I'm still insane, but I'm down to business, and that's not so much
I don't
Batman
know.
Joker. I don't know. Maybe I'm looking at it wrong. That's how I
I
kind
don't
of look
know.
at
I
it.
mean, traditionally the I'm in love with the Joker thing has been more of like the psychotic Joker's shtick.
Hmm.
And I mean, he looks like he's the psychotic Joker here. So I
Yeah,
don't know. And
I don't
depending
know
on how
either.
they play it, but
I guess we'll see.
because in the comics, the Joker has, if like he would be like if Batman died or
Hmm.
disappeared, the Joker would stop doing what he does.
Right.
He
Yeah.
literally does it because the Batman is in the city. That's
Right.
what he loves
Correct.
doing. So it's basically a relationship,
Hmm.
and that always interests me on how they play that off.
So talking about the Joker, Batman, all that. Have you seen the trailer for Batman versus Joker or Batman versus Joker, Batman versus Superman?
I have.
Your thoughts? I'm just curious.
I do appreciate it. Does seem like they're kind of doing an opposite route from the Dark Knight, where it was
Okay.
super realistic. He had combat armor and stuff. They're going more comic book route
Hmm.
because the suit itself, Batman suit, is basically out of Miller's Batman comics,
Yes. Very, very, very similar.
and they're going for the Batman. Have you seen Ben Affleck as Batman? He's ripped.
Oh yeah.
Like he looks, and he's shorter and stocky, just
I
like
love it
Batman.
though, man. I love
And
it so
and
much.
he's built up. Like if you saw his shadow, even without the cape, in a dark
Hmm.
alley, you'd be like, "This dude is gonna break your bones."
Yeah.
And I like how they're doing that, as opposed to a skinnier Batman with a menacing voice type of thing. They're
Hmm.
making him out to be, if you're a human, you're fighting this other guy who has no superpowers. I mean, he's scary,
Yeah.
and I appreciate what they're doing with that. And like the Batmobile itself
Hmm.
is more comic book inspired, along with his jet, um, but not too over the top like Tim Burton's
Right. I know. Yeah.
comic book movies. So I do appreciate that, and I do appreciate that they're going a bit more realistic with the repercussions
Hmm.
of Superman
Yeah.
driving the
Absolutely.
city.
Oh
I
yeah.
don't know whether I agree with like the public worshiping him or him getting like a god complex type of thing,
Which
because
they're going.
that's more going along the route of like those offshoot comics, those what ifs, like where
Hmm.
Superman goes evil type thing. I don't know how they're doing that, but the whole he destroyed a city and now we have an alien among us type thing,
Yeah.
because the public in Marvel movies is fine if their city is getting destroyed. Apparently, like
That's
there are
true.
no repercussions
That's true.
at all.
I'm okay with that though. I actually am okay with the idea of Superman and the God complex. The reason being is because it makes Batman want to fight for a reason. Because the whole reason Batman fights is to protect people, right? So if Superman has the God complex and these people are mad that he's doing whatever he's doing, then he has something to fight for. You know what I mean? That makes more sense to me. It gives Batman a reason to say, yeah, we got to do something about him. It becomes Batman as a hero and Superman's the villain, not really, but the villain in the story.
And
That's what I think about that.
it is interesting to me that because like in the comics traditionally, Clark Kent was just a good guy
Hmm.
from the very beginning. He was a good guy. He was kind of like I don't even know his name now. Captain America, whatever
Okay.
his civilian name was. Um,
Steve of something.
yeah, Steve Rogers. No, Steve. Was it Steve Rogers? I don't know.
I think it was. Anyway, go ahead. I'll
I
find out
think
for
he's just a good guy. He's like a Boy Scout.
you.
That's
Hmm.
how Clark Kent was, and he happened to have superpowers to save the world. But here
Right.
it seems like they're going more. This is a guy who has superpowers that he's literally God on Earth practically for what
Right.
he can do, and he's an average guy type of thing, and how he deals with that.
Yeah.
So he may have a bit of a God complex, and he may, you know, have issues adapting kind of thing, even though he's had them all his life, but he never really like embraced them until his first movie as Superman.
Right.
Um, and maybe he has to become Superman personality wise. He has
Yeah.
to get those morals and become what we know from the comics. That'll be interesting to see how he develops.
Hmm.
You know, it seems like it's almost like a Superman origin story, personality wise, and how he becomes what he is.
Right. Which I'm sure that's what they're going for is the whole origin of, well, not origin, but I mean, I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
What do you think of Ben Affleck as Batman? There is definitely cons and pros, and people saying I don't like it because he screwed up Daredevil and all this other stuff. I personally seen, which is kind of weird to say this, but it's true. When I seen Ben Affleck in the trailer, just looking, it's just like that's Batman. Like it's just I don't know, it's just weird. I liked it. I liked it a lot. I liked him in just the stare of like, oh my gosh, you can tell he's Batman. He's a badass. Like he's gonna go be Batman. I don't know. That's what I thought. My thought. What do you think of Batman as Ben
I
Affleck?
mean, I'm excited simply because like all his bad movies were just bad, managerial choices. Basically, his managers picked
Right.
bad movies. But the movies that he's written, like The Town and
Hmm.
Argo, were
Oh my
great.
gosh,
He's a good
fantastic.
writer and director first and foremost. And I
Hmm.
believe that Zack Snyder, I believe his name, is directing the Batman versus Superman, and he was always
Yes.
more style
Hmm.
over substance. And he's made like 300 basically. He
Yeah.
makes great stylistic movies. He's not that good of a writer necessarily,
No.
and he can't rein in his own writing team. He can't really control them.
Hmm.
So that's how you let his movies go a bit crazy. And I believe under contract, Ben Affleck is on the writing team, and he's basically almost like a
Really?
co-director. He
Oh
directs
wow,
himself as Batman,
that would be awesome.
and he's actually writing the script for the next Batman. I believe that was under the contract details.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for that. And and he's the first guy to actually look like Batman in the comics, or
Oh, I
Bruce
agree
Wayne, I should say.
100%. 100% on that. And I think it's funny because people say, Ben Affleck was great back in the day or whatever. I actually think this is Ben Affleck at his best. I think the past years, like you said, with The Town and the other movie that he did, he's fantastic. It shows his acting ability, and I think he'll take Batman and use it and act like he'll be brilliant. That's what I think.
And depending on how many movies he's in, I could definitely see that like becoming his defining role,
Oh
what he's
yeah,
known for career wise.
for sure.
I mean, because the past Batmans, like Keaton and Clooney and all those guys, and even like Christian Bale, they never looked like the Bruce Wayne of the comics, who was always shorter, stockier, and built, had the chiseled jaw, stuff like
Right,
that, black hair.
right.
That's Ben Affleck basically.
Hmm.
It's like a comic book Bruce Wayne.
Yeah. I'm excited for it. I can't wait for it to come out. I'm ready to watch it myself.
It's interesting to say, but I'm genuinely more excited for that than any of the Marvel movies,
Okay.
which I feel like they're almost getting a bit like stale.
Hmm.
They're following the same formula. And DC's kind of, mixing it up almost out of necessity though, because they can't just blatantly copy Marvel.
Right. Well,
And they have
but
to get success too. So
when you think Marvel and you think DC, the difference has always been Marvel's more cartoony and DC's more dark, and they're definitely pulling DC as darker. I mean, the trailer itself makes it seem darker. And as much as Marvel has great movies, don't get me wrong, they are cartoony at best, and they're making the trailers seem like this is rough, gritty DC, and I'm happy about that. That's why I'm excited about watching that movie. So.
which brings me to like why I like Daredevil, the Netflix series.
Oh my gosh, the Netflix series is amazing.
Yeah, is because it's such a change of tone. It's a
Hmm.
Marvel property, and
Yeah,
yet they're almost doing the DC treatment, gritty wise,
yeah,
how they treated the city. So it's kind of cool that they can mix it up. Like I could see DC doing a movie or series that's a bit more, traditionally fantastical,
hmm,
as gritty. So it's cool that they can like mix up the tone when they want. So and I like to see how that blends in. Like Daredevil specifically, that's a gritty world,
oh yeah,
and it's in the same universe as the Avengers, and yet those are less gritty.
right.
So I'm trying to, it'd be interesting because like the actor who plays Daredevil, for instance, is saying he wants his own movie, or he would love to be a cameo in one of the bigger Marvel movies.
Yeah,
So it's interesting how they're gonna like blend those two because they're so contrasting.
I'd be behind that 100%. Have you seen the whole series? Have you?
I binged it.
Oh,
I
so did
binged
I.
it.
I watched the
Yeah.
thing in a weekend. It was
Uh,
fantastic. The acting, everything was spot on. It's like Netflix, do more comic book movies because you nailed it. Like seriously, it's funny because they were planning on actually just doing a 13 episode spot, which they could have done obviously because the way that the show ended made it seem like, oh, okay, well that was a good ending. But because it was so popular, they made a second season of it, and it's not going to be out till 2016, which is kind of a bummer because like, oh gosh, I watched that all and I can't even watch it till 2016 now. But I'm curious about what they're going to do with it. I think it's going to be fantastic. I think all the acting, everything, it was just great about it. It made me want to watch, and continue. I couldn't stop. Seriously, it was so good.
I mean, I loved how they portrayed Fisk in that
Oh, so good.
because it was such like a natural progression.
Mm-hmm.
I loved when he was being arrested
Yeah.
and he gave that speech that he gave multiple times throughout the show. Kind of
Yep.
touched on it about the what's it called, the Samaritan
Mm-hmm.
traveler,
Yeah.
and how initially he thought he was the good Samaritan helping the traveler,
Right.
and then eventually he changed his beliefs and he thought he was the traveler who was being led astray,
Yeah.
and he thought he was because he was working with bad people to attain a better city, so he
Mm-hmm.
thought he was being led astray and they were the bad person, and then eventually he realizes he was the menace on the road, and he
Yeah.
kind of comes into his own,
Yeah.
and I really love that.
I love the whole idea of basically the girl is what made Fisk kind of calm and be his self. And then at the end of the series, when he no longer had that, he became the kingpin. He became the kingpin that everybody knows. And I think that's a beautifully told. And I think they did it spot on for
And I
sure.
love how they portray because Fisk doesn't have superpowers, and yet he
No.
can take on. I mean, I believe he fights Spider-Man and
Mm-hmm.
Daredevil in the comics,
Yep.
and they almost portrayed his goons and his thugs as a superpower.
Right. Right.
because he had guys everywhere, and he would have armies of men in full on armor and assault rifles
Yep.
pop out of nowhere because money was his superpower.
Yep.
To buy anyone and buy everything.
Yep.
And I really like how they pulled that off.
Oh, they did it brilliantly. And then at the end fight with Daredevil, where he just like brings his whole body. He's like, I'm gonna do anything I can do to kill him. Oh my gosh, I love that series so much. It was one of my it's one of my favorites now. Is it the guy that portrayed Daredevil is now Daredevil to me. That's how good it is. So
What I was surprised about was how much I grew to like the simple ninja outfit he had.
yeah, yeah,
So, I mean, at first
absolutely.
I was like, eh. I mean, it was featured in a couple of the comics. It's just a cloth over his head.
Hmm.
And yeah, I almost thought that's more menacing than the traditional Daredevil suit he gets at the end because you can't see his eyes.
Right.
And
Because that's what I was thinking. I was like, well, when are they gonna bring their Daredevil suit? Then, like by episode 5, I'm like, I know what they're gonna do. They're gonna introduce it in the final episode, and that's exactly what they
I
did.
didn't miss it.
I didn't either. I was like, whatever.
I
He's
really
Daredevil to me.
expected I really expected to be like, come on, when are you gonna make him look like Daredevil?
Right.
But him in just the shirt and stuff was almost more exciting, I guess,
Yeah.
because he had no armor. So
Mhm.
because you knew he was gonna get beat up and cut up and sliced every fight,
Yeah.
and they actually showed him getting stitched up, so it was kind of interesting, to see the aftermath.
I
But
I like how they didn't throw like the sticks in there right away either. Like he didn't get his weapons either right away either. He was just using his skills as karate and all that. So he used all that. He didn't use that until like I think mid season, right? If I'm
oh
correct.
yeah, yeah,
He
probably
didn't
like
use that until then.
episode 8 or 9, I
When
think.
his mentor Stick showed up or something like that. I think was when it started
Hmm.
happening. So I
Yeah,
thought that was cool too. It really showed the progression of him becoming who he is as everybody knows him, and that's great.
and I do love how for before he was Daredevil, they called
Hmm.
him like the devil of Hell's Kitchen,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
that his blind vision, the way he saw things, as he described it as a world in fire,
Hmm.
fire everywhere. I thought that was a nice, kind of thing they did, where he's the devil and he sees fire everywhere,
Yeah.
kind of like hell. That was really cool.
Yeah.
I like how they did that, and I love how they portrayed his superpowers necessarily, like his hearing and stuff.
Hmm.
Really made it seem like a superpower, which
Oh
it
yeah.
kind of is in that universe, because it's more than just enhanced hearing,
Right.
kind of like Sticks, thing.
Yeah. They made it like it's a superpower. He's just
Yeah.
like 10 times like his instincts are 10 times anybody. Like basically,
Hmm.
he uses those senses better than anybody else can.
I
Because
mean, I
everybody.
honestly think that Daredevil is my favorite comic book property so far, just period,
Hmm. Oh yeah.
out of any movies and basically any of the movies or any of the other shows. It's my
I
favorite.
I sat down watching it with my wife, and my wife's not a huge superhero fan. She's like, whatever. After the series, she's like, my new favorite superhero is now Daredevil, and I'm like, what? She's like, that was great. You're like, that was amazing.
I think, the way it's written, it doesn't really seem like a superhero
Mm-mm.
show.
Mm-mm.
It was more of like a crime drama slash, fighting, like fighting crime type of thing.
Yeah.
There was no origin story necessarily.
Which was fine with me. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was great because I loved like when they had the scenes where the girl was crying and he knew that he was lying because he could hear the heartbeat. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, that's brilliant! Like that's so cool.
I mean, I really love that show.
I mean,
I
too.
cannot wait for the next season.
Me neither. It's too bad we have to wait till 2016, but whatever.
Ugh,
Yeah, I know. All right,
2016.
talking about Marvel, this will be our last topic. Fantastic Four is getting a reboot. They released their trailer. Your thoughts?
Optimistic. I like the tone.
Okay.
Seems like they're going a bit of the DC route. They're criticizing everything,
Uh huh.
which a lot of people don't care for. But me, I don't know. I appreciate a good gritty comic book movie just simply because it almost makes it more. I don't know, because movies are kind of like an escape,
Mm-hmm.
and making a comic book movie or basically anything fantastical more gritty kind of makes it almost more believable and
Yeah.
really fun. Um, and I didn't. There was a lot of controversy about making Johnny Storm, black,
Mm-hmm.
and I really didn't mind it.
It didn't hurt anything
He
at
has the
all.
same exact attitude.
Nope.
He's
I
Johnny.
Yep, he's definitely Johnny Storm. He has that whole, and it shows Johnny Storm in the trailer, how sarcastic and how goofy and how he likes to mess around, and he nailed it. I also love Miles Teller as an actor, the guy that's playing Reed Richards.
Hmm.
Um, he's amazing. If you've ever seen Whiplash, to me, that's one of his best movies. I loved Whiplash.
I
Um,
know
but Miles Teller as Reed Richards, I think he's gonna blow it out of the park. I do. I am at the same as you. I'm not like super excited about this Fantastic Four just because I've seen Fantastic Four before and it was lousy. You know what I mean? And I know the story of it, but I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence. I'm back and forth. The trailer doesn't give me enough to say, oh my gosh, I can't wait. But I'm also optimistic, as you said, to see what they're gonna do with it. I don't know.
See,
I
I
just.
feel like it's already off to a better start simply because like a lot of the hokiness was like, for
Hmm.
instance, Mr. Fantastic's power. You know,
Hmm.
kind of makes fun of it. He can stretch himself,
Yeah.
and they're already saying that they changed his power in this one, in the sense that his power is written in that his ability is almost making like wormholes
Hmm.
in space that only affect his body.
Okay.
His arm doesn't stretch necessarily, but his arm is going through like a wormhole. It's almost teleporting
Hmm.
much greater distance, like 20 feet away or something.
Okay.
And just how light kind of stretches, you see light stretch into a black hole. It almost becomes like a line.
Interesting.
That
Okay.
arm is stretching, and yet it'll look visually different than as opposed to just like a rubber band type thing as it did in the, you know, first Fantastic Fours, which we don't talk about.
Yeah, we never talk
Um,
about those.
yeah.
Kind of like they never made.
So they're already doing something like that, and I'm optimistic.
One thing I think that they did nail, which I'm kind of a fan of, is the look of the Thing. Like he actually looks like Rock. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I think he actually
Oh,
looks like the Thing.
and that scene they showed at the end of the trailer when he drops from the car
Oh
real
my
quick.
gosh, that's cool. Yeah,
I mean, it's basically like they dropped a
a
five
meteor.
ton rock off a plane, and it's
Right.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like how they're doing that.
All right. I hope you guys liked what we talked about. Again, we're just two nerds talking about whatever we want. Hopefully, you can join us next time. I'm not going to give you a date because we never do. So, until next time, this is Corey,
This is Christian.
and we shall talk to you later. Bye.